Here's a memo to clueless baptized Catholics out there. You cannot be Catholic and be a Democrat, period. Their party platform absolutely is against everything the Catholic Church teaches.
And I'm going to highlight 3 Christian principles today that are preeminent. These are the preeminent. These are, according to the bishops of the United States, according to the history of the church, according to just even the Constitution to some degree, these are the 3 moral issues that are not political issues first and foremost, 3 moral issues that stand above the others: life, marriage, and our freedom of religion. The environment is important, immigration is important, taxes are important, education is important, poverty is important. But without life, none of those things even exists.
But don't get sidetracked by the spurious, seamless garment theory espoused by many in the church that asserts that issues like immigration and the environment are of equal weight with abortion. Because there is a set of issues upon which Catholics must not disagree. Pope Benedict XVI specified those issues in his 2012 Apostolic Constitution entitled Sacramentum Caritatis, in which Benedict defined what he called our non-negotiable values, a concept which he repeated countless times during his pontificate. Among the list of non-negotiable values which he identified, chief among them are the sanctity of life from conception to natural death, the sanctity of marriage as a lifelong sacramental union of a man and a woman, and the preservation of religious liberty. They are non-negotiable because they are of paramount importance in Catholic moral theology. They are the moral principles where the Church draws a clear line in the sand.
Because Joe Biden masquerades as a Catholic, I'm going to use his name. Joe Biden embraces teachings that are absolutely and fundamentally opposed to the priorities of our church to protect life, to protect the sanctity and the holiness of marriage. He is, in some respects, an embarrassment to Catholicism.
You were in South Carolina recently, yes, and a Catholic priest did not give you communion. He said it was because of your position on abortion. Were you offended by that?
That's a private matter. I'm not going to talk about that.
Biden is also on record committing to restoring the Obamacare mandate, requiring religious ministries and orders like the Little Sisters of the Poor to provide contraceptive and abortifacient drugs to their employees, despite the fact that that is a direct violation of their faith conviction and of church teaching.
With regard to the assault on the Catholic Church, let me make it absolutely clear. No religious institution, Catholic or otherwise, including Catholic Social Services, Georgetown Hospital, Mercy Hospital, any hospital, none has to either refer for contraception, none has to pay for contraception, none has to be a vehicle to get contraception in any insurance policy they provide. That is a fact.
Now we find ourselves in a situation where the government is requiring us to make changes in our religious health care plan to include services that really violate our deepest held religious beliefs.
Joe Biden is unabashedly pro-abortion. This fact is clear from his long voting record, his public pronouncements, his allegiance to and support of groups like Planned Parenthood and NARAL, and from his party's platform not only in this election year, but in their platform going back decades. He and they support abortion for any reason or for no reason, right up to and even beyond the moment of birth. He and they opposed the effort in Congress to pass legislation requiring doctors who perform abortions to provide medical care to babies who survive the abortion, opting rather to let such babies simply die outside the womb with no care. He and they are pushing for the repeal of the Hyde Amendment, an action which would force all American taxpayers, including you and me, to fund abortions, to pay for them. Along with their anti-life positions on euthanasia, physician-assisted suicide, embryonic stem cell research, and other issues, the Democratic Party has become the party of death, and Catholic Joe Biden is their standard bearer. Or as he said in the first presidential debate, I am the Democratic Party.
With regard to abortion, I accept my church's position on abortion as what we call de fide doctrine. Life begins at conception. That's the church's judgment. I accept it in my personal life. But I refuse to impose it on equally devout Christians and Muslims and Jews, and I just refuse to impose that on others.
Now, this is very misleading for Catholics. You can't have a stance that totally contradicts Catholic teaching and that involves taking the life of the most little and the most innocent and call yourself a good Catholic. You just can't do that.
And it's clear that these folks are going to stop at nothing to get rid of Roe. And it's clear to me that we have to just be just as strong in defending it. I support Roe. I support a woman's right to choose under that constitutional guaranteed provision. And quite frankly, I always will.
Well, we've killed 60 million, and exported these ideals out to the rest of the world through Planned Parenthood and through population programs that we have attached to every foreign aid program. We've expanded this great evil. It's absolutely that critical that it be number one and that we challenge it.
I support a woman's right to choose. I support it's a constitutional right. I've supported it. I will continue to support it. And I will, in fact, move as president to see to that the Congress legislates that that is the law.
He is pro-abortion for any reason or for no reason at all. There is an amendment that is written to protect your federal tax dollars, the money that you give to Caesar, that protects that money from paying directly for abortion. It's called the Hyde Amendment. Joe Biden actively wants to repeal that amendment.
And I've been struggling with the problems that Hyde now presents. It's become clear to me that to get universal coverage and to provide for the full range of health services women need, in that environment where providers like Planned Parenthood are under unrelenting attack, if I believe health care is a right, as I do, I can no longer support an amendment that makes that right dependent on someone's zip code.
Joe Biden opposes the church's teaching on the sanctity of marriage. While he was vice president, he publicly endorsed same-sex marriage in 2012, 3 years before the Supreme Court ruling. And in 2016, while still the vice president, he officiated over the wedding ceremony of 2 men, posting a photo of the ceremony on Twitter with the caption, quote, "Proud to marry Brian and Joe at my house. Couldn't be happier. 2 longtime White House staffers, 2 great guys."
The 73-year-old VP tweeted out a photo showing him officiating the marriage. His wife, Dr. Jill Biden, retweeted the photo, adding, "Love is love."
If you want to be faithful to your Catholic faith, to vote for a candidate who is obviously contradicting the doctrine of our faith, the deposit of faith that every bishop promised to guard, then we need to really pay attention to that. If a candidate clearly says they support abortion, that becomes a marker for really eliminating the ability for a faithful Catholic to elect that person.